Hi, in this video we will understand the CCE examination grading pattern. CCE stands for Continuous and Comprehensive Evaluation. It measures students' performance by using different techniques. Evaluation process is done basis of scholastic and co-scholastic areas. Scholastic areas are generally related to subject aspects, and co-scholastic areas are concerned with students' life skills, attitudes, and co-curricular activities. The scholastic evaluation is incorporated with formative assessment and summative assessment. Let me tell you the details about how that can be set in Fedena. Now here we will go to examination and we will have to do the settings which are set grading levels, which will denote the scholastic grading level setting and CCE settings. Rest settings that you see here can be ignored in case of CCE. Before doing these settings, we should ensure that in general settings, we have enabled CCE grading pattern as examination pattern. So here you can see I have checked CCE. That means the courses and batches that I create can follow CCE now. Let me show one example to you. I will create a course that follows CCE. I will go to Manage Class and click on New to create a new class. I can give the name of the class. For example, let's say it is Class 7. Here, I can select the grading system to be CCE now. This I'm able to do because in the general settings, I have selected CCE as one of the grading systems. I can give a batch information like this and put the academic year as well. So I've created a course, grade 7, that follows CCE, which I can check from here. Now, let me admit 2 students into this batch. Since it is empty, we've just created it. To enter the students, there are 3 ways. The first way is using an admission form, which you can check from academics, students, student admission. You can fill in this form one by one for each student, and while filling in, you can admit the student into the proper class and the batch. The other way is using applicant registration module. Using applicant registration module, the institute can make this course, which is grade 7, available online for registration. In that case, the prospective students will be able to go to a URL that you will provide them, and they will be able to fill in the form, and the administrator can approve or discard the registrations. If you want to see more details about how this is done, please check the video by the name Fedena Applicant Registration Module. The third way in which we can admit the students is using the custom import way. Custom import will allow you to create a template, fill that in, and upload the student information in bulk in Fedena. So here, if you want to see details about how custom import is done for student admission or for any other model that you see here, please check the respective video. In case of student admission, the name would be Fedena Custom Import for Student Admission. I already have a file with me that I have entered the information into. So here I have a file by the name Student Admission. This is the file which I will enter the information in for the student. So let's say I'm admitting 2 students here, S104, 105. I can give the admission date. The rest of the information I have already filled. Now the batch name would be G7, the one that we just created. So here I have to copy the exact batch name that I get in Fedena. So I will go to Manage Class and open the batch information, copy exactly this into the file. When I'm copying this, I should ensure that there are no extra spaces present. Here I have given the rest of the mandatory information. Other information can also be filled in. So this is how you will be able to fill in this file. Now let's save the same. And to upload this file, I will go to Data and Imports, Custom Import, and import data in front of the model that I've already created and choose the file that I just updated. So student admission, this is the one, and I can upload it. It will be a scheduled job. It will take some time for these students to get reflected into the system. We can refresh the browser to check the status. It will change from in queue to running, and finally the job will be completed. So we can see that the job is completed now, and we can check the same by going to imports information, and we can see that it shows success. And when we see further details, it shows that the 2 students are uploaded successfully. We'll go to reports to check the same. I will click on the batch, and here is where I get to see the grade, and I see the 2 students with the information. So the two students are there in this batch now. This batch follows CCE grading pattern. Now, another information that we should be doing before we start doing the examination settings is associating the employees with the subjects. But before that, we should add the subjects into this batch. Since it was a new batch, we've not added any subjects. To add subjects, we will go to settings and manage subjects. We will select the course. For example, in this case, it is grade 7, and select the batch. And here we will have major subjects and elective subjects. So I'll enter major subject by clicking on add subject. So I will give the name of the subject here. For example, it can be computer and some code associated to the subject. And based on the number of periods of this subject that are as per the timetable, I have to set up the maximum weekly classes. So 4 here denotes that as per the timetable of grade 7, this section, there are 4 slots allocated for computer to happen in a week. Now, there might be some subjects that you want to create here, but you do not want to conduct exam for them. For example, games can be one subject. So for such subjects, you can create them and check this option. But in case of computer, we want to create an exam for it, so I am not checking this option. Also, there is a 6 subject option. That means you can create a subject as a 6 subject. In that case, there will be examinations for the subject, and everything will be as for other normal subjects. The difference would be that for the 6 subject, the marks will not be reflected in the final GPA calculation. That means for the CCE report card, you will see the 6 subject details along with the other subject information, but the final marks of this 6 subject will not be a participant in the calculation of the final CCE report marks. So if you have such a subject, you can enable that option from here. ASL subject is generally for languages. So in that case, if there's a language subject, you can enable the same. For ASL, you can then allocate 10 marks or 20 marks based on what your institute follows. In this case, computer is a normal subject, so I'm just creating it like that. Now let's create English, which is a language subject. Here I will give the maximum weekly classes for English, and also I will make it as an ESL subject. Now the ESL marks can be set. It can be 20 or 10, that is as per CBSE. So let me select 20 in this case for this subject. Now I can add another one, mathematics. So here we will give some code for it, and weekly classes, again depending on the timetable, and here I can save it. So all the other subjects that I'm adding here are normal. So they are neither ASL nor 6 subject, but you can make it as per the requirement. And let me add one more. So I've created 5 subjects for this grade, and I've added one of the subjects as ASL, which is English. I've not added a 6 subject in this case, but you can add it. In that case, 6 subject will be shown, but in the calculation, of the CGPA, it will not take that marks of sixth subject into account. So we've added this. In the same way, if we want to have elective group, we can add it. For example, let me create an elective group for option between languages. And again, we can have option of this as sixth subject if required. And inside the languages, I'll be able to add subjects now. So let's say it is Hindi as a language. And the classes based on timetable. And we'll have one more, which is another language. And the classes. So this is how we can set up the subjects for a batch that is following CCE as examination grading pattern. Now we have to associate teachers to these subjects that we just created. For that, we will go to human resource, employee management, and employee subject association. We will select the batch from here. It is grade 7. One by one, select the subject and assign a teacher. So I'm assuming here that you have already put in teachers in the system, then only you will be able to assign teachers. So you just have to select the subject, select the department, and assign the teacher. So now that this example, it means that English in grade 7A 2016 will be taught by this teacher that I just assigned. You can assign more than one teacher if that is the case for a subject. So here I am assigning to all the subjects one by one. And for the last subject as well, we can assign. So we've done the employee subject association now. The main use of doing this is that the subject teachers, in case of examination module, will be able to enter marks for the students for their own subjects. So that is the reason we need to associate teachers with their subjects in the batch. Now let's go to examination. And here you will see that there are settings. So before we start creating examinations which are based on CC, there are few settings that we should do. So in the 5 links that you see here, the settings should be done for set grading levels link and CCE settings link. So let's start with doing the grading level setting. So in this link of set grading levels, you have to set the grading levels for scholastic grades. So here you will see the option of common, and by default you will see that Fedena fills in with this information. You will see the grading level, the minimum score, and you can edit by entering the credit points. You can also edit the grading level information completely. So you can give here example A1, a minimum score of let's say 91, some description and the credit point associated. So you can do that change here in common. But if you do that, all the batches of the institute will follow that. So in case you have a grading system, for example, in this case, CCE, that is followed from kindergarten through the last grade of your institute, in that case, you can do that setting in common. Otherwise, you should select the batch and edit or add grades for that particular batch. For example, in this case, I will be selecting the batch and clicking on add grades. And for scholastic, I'll take an example here and enter the 9-point grading system that is for CBSE Scholastic. So here I will give A1, minimum score to be 91, and in the description I'll give scholastic grade and the credit point to be 10. So like this, I will be entering now by clicking on add grade A2, it will be 81. Again, this is a scholastic grade, credit point will be 9. So like this, we will be entering till the last grade. So I'm entering for the last 2 set of grades, E1 Let's say it is 21 and above, 21 to 33, which is still D. Description and the credit points for the same. And then E2, which is the last one, 0 to 21, the description and the credit points. So this is how I'll be entering the information till credit point 2. So once you have done this setting, this is for the scholastic grade. Now let's go to the other setting, which is CCE settings. So like I said, in the settings, we have to do only these two settings, which is the grading levels and the CCE settings. If you are following CCE grading pattern, you can ignore ranking level, class designation, and report settings because these three are applicable to normal, GPA, and CWA examination grading pattern. So now we will go to CCE settings, and here we have to do all these settings. Let's start by doing the basic settings. We have already set up grades for scholastic. Now, in CCE grade sets, we set it for co-scholastic. So co-scholastic grade sets can be set using this link. So here, when you open CCE grade sets, you will see that your screen will be empty. There will not be information about grade sets in your instance. So to create a grade set which is related to co-scholastic grades, you have to click on New. And here you have to give the name of the grade set. For example, based on how your grades, how your classes are following the co-scholastic grades, you can enter that meaningful name here. For example, there may be classes that are following co-scholastic grade 9-point scale. In that case, you can create that one, as well as you can create a one which is co-scholastic 5-point grade set. So you can create both the grade sets or only one based on how many classes follow which point scale. So here, in this case, I have created both of them. Now, once you create it, it will show up like this with the name that you have given. You have to click on it to further add the grade points. So here you will see that this will again be empty in your instance if you're opening it for the first time. You will only see the name. Now, to add a grade, click on the top right option of Add Grade. So now in this grade set that you have named, you have to enter 5-point grading scale information like the name of the grading level along with the grade point that it denotes. So like this, I have entered, as you can see, for all the grading levels. So this is about 5-point. The same way you can set up 9-point if that is also applicable. You can create as many grading levels that you want here by creating different grade sets. And later on, we will be able to apply the same to the courses. So now we have done this setting. Let's go back and see the other setting, which is about the exam category. So let's open this. And again, in your instance, if you're doing this setting for the first time, you will see that this is empty. You have to click on New to create a term. First, let's understand the structure that we will follow in case of CCE and is set by CBSE. So here we have term 1 and we have term 2. Term 1 will be equivalent to FA1, which is formative assessment 1, which will be of 10%, and FA2, which will again be of 10%, and SA1, which will be of 30%, making a total of term 1 for 50%. So this is about term 1. The same you have for term 2 as well, with the difference that we will call it here FA3 and FA4 with the same weightages and SA2. So here you can check that term 1 and term 2 has a total of 50. So the classes or from class 1 to class 10 will be following this. So this is about scholastic area. Weightage of both the summative exams is 30, as you can see, and weightage of all the formative assessments is 10. So we can set this up now. Now let's set this inside Fedena. So we have term 1. Now here, when you see exam category, you will click on new. It will ask you for the name of the term and some description. So description can be any information that you want to attach with the term. Term 1, the name that you want to give. So generally, as per CBSE norms, let's say this is term 1 and we can save it. Like this, just click on new again to create term 2. Just give that name, any description you want to attach, and save it. So this is the only thing that you have to do here. Now once you do this setting, come to the next one, which is CCE weightages. Now this is important. This is as per what we have set here. So let's do these settings. When we say CCE weightages, we need to assign FA1 to a weightage of 10, and it will be multiplied with 2 automatically because it's in term 1, and we have to create weightage for SA1. That means we have to create FA1 for 10, SA1 for 30 for term 1, and FA3 for 10, SA2 for 30 for term 2. We need not create the FAs twice because Fedena will automatically multiply the weightage that you give for one FA into 2, because as per the CBSE norms, it has to be same if there are 2 FAs. So here, let's do that setting now. Again, this will be empty for you. Click on new. When you do that, it will ask you for the weightage. Enter the same here. So I want to enter first FA weightage, formative assessment. I will give the weightage to be 10. Type, I can select as FA or SA. Since it is 10, it has to be FA, and the exam category for which you are creating. So I am creating 10 for term 1 for FA. Like I said, I do not have to create it again for term 1 because Fedena will automatically multiply the weightage that you give here for FA by 2. So here I've created 10 for FA for term 1. Next step would be to create 30 for SA for the same term. So I will create here 30. So I will give like this 30 for SA for term 1. So now we are complete with term 1. Term 1 has 10 FA, 30 SA. Since FA is automatically multiplied by 2, the weightage, so I do not have to create it again. Now I have to do the same with term 2. So it means 10 FA for term 2. The only difference will be selecting the exam category to be term 2 and 30 SA for term 2. So this is how I will be creating the weightages and assigning them to the exam category, which is term 1 and term 2. You can see here 10 FA term 1, 10 FA term 2, 30 SA term 1 and 30 SA term 2. I do not have to create FA again because it automatically multiplies by 2. So this is the setting that we have done. Now we have to assign these weightages to the batches. So here we need to understand that these settings that we have done are to be done only once. Once these settings are done, all the batches that follow CCE pattern, it can be an existing batch, it can be a new batch. So if it is a new batch, it will automatically come in this drop down and you select the weightages, all of them, because you need to make it 100 for both the terms and save it. So assign weightages option should be used whenever you have a new batch who follows CCE and you have already done the other settings. So now we have assigned the weightages to the batch. So we have done all the basic settings. We have completed the settings in this link. Let's move to the next one. Now these are the core scholastic settings that should be done. So let's see what are core scholastic settings. Here we will go inside this link. And for core scholastic settings, we will enter the information about items. So let's see what are core scholastic items. So here we can enter observation groups. So let me take example of an observation group, which is as per the CBSE norm. So I'm taking a real example here. Let's say we have games and sports. This is the observation group, and we can give the header name. So this is how it will appear in the report, the CBSE report, the CCE report. So you can give the same name, or if you want to show it in a different way, you can give that name. Description, let it be the same one. And here you can give, or let's give the description to be more meaningful. Let's say it is leadership attitude here. And we can select the grade set. So which one will be applicable if this is a co-scholastic group? So how the teachers will be able to rate this co-scholastic group? Will it be a 5-point grading scale or 9-point? So these are the settings that we've already done. That is why they appear here. So I will select one of them which is applicable for this grade. Let's say it is grade 5-point scale. And assessment type. Is it an area or an activity or scholastic? Again, that is decided by as per what your institute wants and as per the CBSE norms. So here in this case, let's say it is activity. So in the descriptive indicator count, you can enter the number of descriptive indicators to be displayed in the report. For example, in this group, you may have 6 descriptive indicators, but you have entered only 3 to be displayed in the report. So automatically, only the best 3 will be displayed out of 6. So let me enter here. Let's take an example of 2. In this case, 2 will be shown out of the total descriptive indicators that you have inside this group. So I can save this activity. And like this, I can add other activity. So here I will click on new. Another example of, let's add an area which is yoga and meditation. This is co-scholastic area. We can give that name, the header information, the description information. Let's say it is concentration. Add the description. And grade set is 5-point grading set. It is an area, so I can select that. And again, inside this group, you will add descriptive indicators. And the best, the ones that you want to show in the report, 2 best will be shown if you set like that. So let me give one more, which is social skills. So from here, I will select it, social skills as the name. Header name will be the same. Let's give the same description. Grading point would be 5-point. And again, it is an area. We want to show here, let's say 3. So like this, you can have multiple observation groups that are set up. You can do this setting for all the classes together. So class 1 may have a different set of observation group than class 2. So please add all the observation groups here. Later on, we will see how these observation groups can be assigned to the classes. So currently, we are just doing the settings. So we've just created observation groups. Inside the group, we will have items or the criterias. So to create a criteria, you have to click on new. For example, for games and sport, I can have a criteria which is analysis problem. So let's say this is the criteria that we want to give and some description. Let's say it is the same one. And inside this criteria, I will have descriptive indicators. So this is the third level of the group that we have to enter. For example, in this case, it can be analysis of problem in detail. So let's give the same description. So I have entered one descriptive indicator, which is for games and sports in the group. Now for the other one, I will enter further. Let's say for yoga and meditation, I will enter descriptive indicator, which is concentration and focus. And let's say that also the indicator is the similar to criteria. So we will give new indicator, give the same one. So I can have multiple indicators here. So let me create one more. So we'll give some name to this. like this, and inside this again you will have descriptive indicators. So we can give the name like this, and let's give one more. So what I want to show you here is, so inside a group you can have multiple criterias, and inside a criteria you can have multiple indicators. So I will click on new, give another one. Let's say it is discipline. And inside this, I can have a descriptive indicators. One more thing to note here, that when we created this observation group, we have said that the count of descriptive indicators that should be visible should be 2. So here we have 3, because if you see inside each observation there is 1. So you have 3 descriptive indicators. So in the report card now, taking this example, out of these 3, 2 will be shown for each student. And those 2 will be the best, meaning the best of the marks for that student. So this is the example. Now let's add for social skill as well. Let's add one indicator here, which is similar. And inside this, we can have indicator. So that was a criteria, and we are having a indicator. Again, you can have multiple indicators. So we have set up the 3 observation groups. You will have a lot of observation groups here depending on the variety of the classes that is following the observation groups. Then the next step is to assign. So like I said, you can create multiple items, groups, and then later on assign them to the classes. So we have 2 classes in this system that follow CCE. So they too appear here. So in this example, we are talking about grade 7. Let's say grade 7 follows all 3 that we created, and we will save it. So like this, you will be selecting a class and assigning the ones that that class follows. So this is again an assignment that you have to do once when you add a new batch. This setting is to be done only once, and assignment can be done for any new batch that you admit into Fedena. You can also set up observation codes. So for every class that follows the CCE grading system, observations is one form of assessment. And according to the CBSE report that I will show you, which you will get in the CCE reports link, when you see the report center, the structure needs to be sent to CBSE. So each co-scholastic observation that we've created must be assigned a code. So let's see how to assign those codes. We will go here, select the batch, and we can add the code. So you can see here it shows you the observation group. So we will mention the information here. So for example, it is AP. So this is a code that will be appearing in the CBSE report that you send to CBSE. So we can give these are actually the items that we've created, the criterias. So we've set this up. So this is mainly for CBSE report. You can leave it blank if that is not required. So like this, we can do the observation code settings. So we have seen the co-scholastic settings and how they can be done. Now let's move to scholastic settings. So here, let's see what are the scholastic settings that we can do. So scholastic comprises of formative assessment information. We will go here as well as summative assessment, but here we are going to do the formative assessment settings. Now formative assessment calculation can be set up. So as you can see, the formative assessment for students can be calculated based on these 2 modes that you see here. The common denominator mode converts all FA criteria marks to a common denominator before applying the formula. And the total marks mode uses actual values of each FA criteria when applying the formula and calculates the result out of maximum marks of the criteria. So these are the 2 modes. To see further example, you can have a look at this view example option. It shows you an example and you can see if this is how it is done. This is the total marks mode. If this is what the FA calculation for your institute follows for the batch, you can select this one. It is by default selected. Otherwise, we have the common denominator mode, which is 1. So it factors for 1 and then does this calculation. So you can select this FA calculation mode from these settings. Then you have FA items. So let's set up the items. FA items are to be set up for the subjects that will be there for all the classes. So all the classes that follow CCE will have subjects, and each subject will have FA group associated to it. So here example could be something like you have classwork. So this is the kind of assessment or homework, quiz, assignment, oral test, activity, discussion, and so on. So here we will create a new FA group. So again, this will be empty for you if you are opening this for the first time, doing this setting for the first time. You will give the name. For example, you can give here some name like subject 1. Or you can make it particular to each subject as well. So if there are set subjects like English, science, social studies, etc., then you can give that particular subject name. Otherwise, you can make it common like primary subject or secondary subject. So in this case, let's give it based on subject. Let's say they are fixed. So we have English and we are making it for FA1. Description. So you can just give any meaningful description here. So let's say it is for the subject English, and here the maximum marks. So here for FA, English is a language subject and we have made it to be ASL. So ASL again has some marks which is 20, which we have set when we created the subject. Now, some institutes may not want to give the maximum marks as 100 here. So let's say it is 80 because 80 is for FA, and then we have 20 for ASL. Summative assessment can also have some marks. So let us see what we have in formative assessment items. So formative assessment is it may include classwork, homework, quizzes, and any such extra activities that are associated to a subject. So here we will be creating a FA group which will be related to a subject. So we will click on new FA group. We will give the name of the subject. So you have to create this FA group for each subject that are there for all the classes that you have in the institute. Again, this is a one-time setting that has to be done. Let's take example of the first subject, which is English. So here we can enter some meaningful description for it. And for English, we have set up this to be as ASL. So this is a subject that already has 20 marks for ASL. So in this case for FA, let's set up 10 marks for it for term 1, which is FA1. So here we will also select term 1. So this full thing here denotes that English FA1 will have the marks of 10 for term 1. So I'm giving exact maximum marks as 10. You can also give it any number here. It will factor it to 100. Factor it to the actual percentage. So in this case, 10%. So we can also give 100 here. This will also work. So ultimately, FA is 10% of 50 in term 1. So it will automatically do that calculation. So you can make it 10 or you can make it 100. Now let's say in this case it is 100. We can give the exam category here. It is term 1 because it is FA1. And how will the FA criteria be calculated? So this is FA group. Inside this FA group, I am going to create FA criteria. Inside FA criteria, I will again have items. So we are going to set that up now. So here it can be either average of the descriptive indicators. So like I said, we are going to have FA criteria and each FA criteria may have multiple descriptive indicators. So how do you want that FA criteria to be calculated inside this group is what you have to select from here. So should it be the average of the descriptive indicators or should it be the sum? So these two options are available for the criteria calculation that will be inside this group that we are creating. So let's say it is average and we can create it. So like this, I will be creating again. I can give, let's say we have English, we have FA2, some description we can mention, the maximum marks we are creating again for term 1. Like this, we will create for term 2 now. We have English, FA3, which is term 2, some description, and we can create. So like this, you have to create it for each subject that you have, because later on we are going to assign this formative group to each subject. That is the setting that we will be doing. So I have created it for one subject like this. Let me create it for another subject. Let's say it is science. And here we can give some description. This is term 1. And we can create for term 2 as well for the same subject. So first let's complete for term 1. And now to create for term 2, we will create here FA3 and term 2. And then the last one, FA4. So here we will give FA4. So I've created for 2 subjects for all the terms. So we have English and we have science. And like this, we have to create for all the subjects. All the subjects should have FA1 and FA2, FA3 and FA4. So this setting has to be done once. Once we've created the assessment groups. Now inside a group, we have to add the criteria. So let's take example. Inside English, we'll have a criteria. Let's say we have classwork. So this is one of the criterias. We can give some description for it. The formula key. So we will see what is the meaning of this. Let's give it A right now. And inside this criteria, you can put in further breakup. So here we can, for classwork, let's say we can give assignment, the same description. So these are the descriptive indicators. So for classwork, again, we can give oral test like here. So multiple descriptive indicators can be given. So English FA1 is the group which has one criteria, classwork. Classwork has 2 descriptive indicators. So how will this A be calculated? So classwork is denoted by A. A will be calculated by the formula of average. So when we created this group, it asked us for the calculation method of FA criteria. So we have set up average, that is why it shows you the same here. This cannot be edited once you have already set it and enter marks for it. Now another question here is FA group calculation. Let's see what does this mean. Now currently I have only one FA criteria like classwork. So FA group will be equal to A, whatever will be the value of A. But I may have more. In that case, I will click, let's take an example of another FA criteria that I want to give, which is projects. So in English FA1, I have projects. I can give some description and the formula key, let's say it is B now. So I have classwork and projects. Inside projects, again, let me add some indicator, which is experiments. So this can be created. Let's add one more, which is interviews. And we can create it. So now we have 2 criteria, each having 2 descriptive indicators. A and B will be calculated by average of descriptive indicators, and English FA1 score will be calculated by average by default. So you will see that FA group calculation is average by default. You can edit this formula. So you will see this screen where you will be able to edit the formula. So here we can see that we can enter any kind of formula that we want. For example, we have given the formula key for each criteria that we have created. So what the formula should look like? It can be either the summation of these two criteria that will give the final group calculation criteria. It can also be the average. So it can be something like this, or it can be best out of A and B. So we can check these examples that you want to put in here by viewing the example here. So you can see it takes some examples A, B, and C. We have A and B as criteria, and how much the student has obtained, and how will the sum be calculated, average be calculated, and best be calculated. So here we can choose from these formulas based on the one that is suited for us. Also, you can check how the formula is to be written. It explains the conversion factor and the denominator. What is the conversion factor? What will this denote? So you can have a look at it and mention the same here. By default, it will be average of the FA criteria. So like this, we have to do the setting for each of the group. So here, let me do it for FA2 as well. So for all these assessment groups, I have added a single criteria and a single descriptive indicator in that. So like this, we have to create all the groups for each subject and add the indicators for the same. Now we've done the formative assessment item setting. Now we have to assign these to the subjects. So we will select the batch, select the subject like this, and find the descriptive indicators that are applicable to this subject inside the FA group. So here we've created FA groups. So let's say I have created a separate one for Bengali. Let's say this is the one, and I will assign it like this. So I'm assigning for term 1 and term 2, which means FA1 to FA4. Like this, I will do it for each subject based on the FA group that I have created for it. So in this case, I'm just assigning the existing one, but different can be created and assigned to the subject. So like this, I'm assigning here, and then we will do it for other subject. Let's say this is the one. And the remaining two subjects as well. So we are assigning the FA assessment groups to the subject. So this is the one that is left that we can assign for and save it. So this is how we have to select each subject and assign the FA criteria group. Now we've done this setting. So this is about the FA settings that has to be done. Now let's see the other setting, which is CCE report settings. So CCE report settings can be set up. This is the basic report settings. So you can have a customized header. So if you want to put a letterhead for printing for the report cards which you provide to the students for CCE, you can use that header and leave the space that you want to leave. And if you want to use preset format that Fedena provides, which is a logo, the institute, and the address, that also you can set up from the general settings. So in general settings, we give the name, we give the address, and also we give the logo. We upload the logo here. So the same will be coming as a header. Also student details, what you want to show in the report card. By default, name, batch, and admission number will be shown for the student. You can now have up to 8 fields that you can show, like additional information as well, and the other information like father's name, mother's name, and date of birth that can be chosen. and signature. So if you want to show the signature section in the report card, you can enable this option and you can have up to 3 customized labels. Otherwise, you can hide this section. So this setting can be done. The other setting is detailed CCE report setting. Again, for report header, you can have your own header or according to the CBSE norms. So there will be an affiliation number that will have to enter, which you can put in and it will show according to that. You can use a customized header otherwise. Also attendance, you can have auto generated attendance or enter it manually. So a space will be left out and you will have to enter it manually after it is printed. Health status section, you can retrieve it from a record group. So here we have a record group that I've created, health status. So let's see what is that. Now record groups can be created in Fedena by going to academic student records. Here we will see that we have an option to create record groups by going to record groups and clicking on add record group. You just give the name of the record group here. For example, for CBSE, you will have health status and self-awareness. So I'll give that name and save it. When you save it, you will see it will come here. You have to click on settings to check further information. You can see it is active by default. This is the settings that you can do. Also, when you go to manage records, you will be able to add records inside it, like height of the student, weight, blood group, the vision information, and the dental hygiene. So this information can be added regarding health status record group. You can create this information by clicking on add record. So you will click on add record, you will enter here the information like height. And how do you want to take in that information? Like, is it a single line, multiple options are there? Is it a date, or it can also be a file attachment? So like this, you can select what it is and the type of the record. Is it only numerals or alphanumeric? If there's a prefix, is it a mandatory field or an optional field for the student? So this you can select and create inside the record group. I have created multiple options here. And then for each student, you can add this information. So here to add the information for the student, you will have to go to the option of here inside the student records. You will have classes and batches. Assign the class that follows that record group. That means assign the class for which you have that record group. So here we will select option like assign record group in front of grade 7, the one that you want, health status. Do you want to assign it to all the active batches of grade 7 or to a specific batch? You can select that. I only have a single batch that I created in the beginning, so I can select that. So I will assign this. Now I have assigned record group which is to grade 7, which is health status. So I can assign multiple record groups. I can assign one more which I might have created, which is self-awareness. So I can assign the same. So now I have assigned the record groups. I can also check that they are active. So now I have to attach information for each student regarding these record groups. So I will go to student records. I can see grade 7 is appearing here. It is CCE pattern. I can click on view batches. I have one batch here, add records. I have 2 students. I will add record about the information of the student here, like this and like this here. So I will save this information about each of the record group that I have and save this for the student. So like this, I am saving it for a single student. I have to do this information. I have to fill in this information for each student if I want this to appear in the report card. So this is record group that I am adding. Now, currently this record group information is not linked to the CBSE report card. So that is what we are doing here. We've entered the records now. To add this information to the report card, we will use this option which is link student record. So here you will get here option of linking the group report. So let me unlink it first. I will show you. It will show like this link. So which one do you want to link? Health status. So you can also choose if you want to show this option. So against height, what do you want to show? Against weight and blood group, left vision, right vision, and dental hygiene. So this can be set up. In the same way, you can set up for self-awareness. So this is a detailed report setting that we are doing. So this is for the report that goes to CBSE. And the final result criteria can also be set up. So you can set up how you want to define the pass criteria for each class and the final result text that you want to display. So by default, it shows equal and above A1 would be shown as passed. Otherwise, it will be shown as eligible for improvement. So you can set here by default it is, we can say that, let's say it is for A1, we want to say equal and above A1 would be passed. We can enter that, and otherwise the alternative text would be, let's say, eligible for improvement. If it is the same, then you need not do this setting. You can ignore it if you want to show the same text. Otherwise, if you want to show promoted instead of passed, you can mention that here. It will show promoted in that case. And you can save these settings. So this is the detailed report settings that we have. Now the other settings is upscale settings. According to the CBSE grading system, students graced in scholastic areas may be upgraded to the next higher grade in 1 or 2 subjects depending upon their total of the co-scholastic grade points that they obtain. So we can enter the range of grade points the student needs to obtain to be eligible for upscaling of 1 subject or 2 subjects. So that information we can enter here. So this is for 1 subject and this is for 2 subject upscaling, and we can save it. So this is the upscale settings that can be done. So we have seen the upscale settings now. Now let's go back to CCE settings. We have done all these 6 link settings that you see here. Also, from the settings, the main settings, we have set the grading levels for scholastic grades and we have completed the CCE seconds. So these are the 2 link settings that must be done. The other settings should be done only when you have other grading systems also enabled, like normal, CWA and GPA. If you have only CCE enabled, in that case, you have to just do the grading level setting and the CCE settings. So now we have done the settings. Now let's see the next step, which is to create examination for grade 7. So we will go to exam management, and to create examination, we will click on create exam group. Now exam group for CCE would mean terms. So the term 1 and the term 2. So here we will select grade 7 and you will see the batches that are there that are studying grade 7 will appear, and you can select multiple batches here if they have term 1 or term 2 scheduled at the same time, and give the name of the group. So exam group name would be equivalent to the term name in case of CCE. And the category would be term 1. So we've already created categories and we have done settings related to these categories in CCE settings link. Now we are associating this group name with the category and we will click on create exam group. So you will see term 1 is created, but currently there are no exams that are scheduled in term 1 for the 7 subjects that you have. So if you want to do that, you will go to manage exams and you will see this option of add subject exams. So here is where you will be able to add the exam subjects for all the subjects that you have. So when you click on this, you will get to schedule the exams. Also note here the other thing, which is the link for FA scores. Now since formative assessments are conducted throughout the year, so teachers can enter the FA scores immediately for the subjects from this link. They need not wait till the exam schedule is created and published. So that is why you see this FA scores button here. You can click on it to enter the formative assessment score. You can select the subject and the associated FA items will appear for term 1, since we have created term 1 here, and we will click on it and we can enter the marks. So let me enter marks here. For this descriptive indicators, the maximum mark was 100 because that is as per the setting. I can mark the student as per what he has scored. You will see the list of students that will come on the left hand side. You can scroll and click on the student and enter the FA score. So this has to be done for each FA score for the term 1. So here I'm entering for one student, and for the other student this is for the subject science. So like this I will be entering for the other subjects as well. So here we can see the subject list. We just have to click on the subject and click on the FA and we will be able to enter this. So let's assume that I have entered for all the other subjects now the FA scores. So this entry can be done even if you have not scheduled the essay for the subjects. So now let's assume that we have entered the FA score for each FA1 and FA2 in this setting for the subjects. This can be done anytime, even if you have not scheduled the essay examination. Now to schedule essay examination in term 1, you can click on this option of add subject exams. Here you will see that it is asking for SA, for the summative assessment, the maximum marks and the minimum marks. So here let's say the maximum is 100 and 0 is the minimum. For each subject it shows here now, and the start time. So we have to schedule the exam now. So for computer, let's say it is happening on 12th of August at 9:55 a.m. and it goes till 12th of August, the same date, at 12 p.m. So this is how you can set the date and the timing for the examination. So I'm selecting some random values here. It can be set as per the actual schedule. So for each subject, we can set some dates and time, and later on this date and time will be visible to the students and the parents in their profile. So we've done this setting now. Also, you can set up reminder settings if that plugin is enabled, so the students can be notified a week before or a day before. So that settings can be done. And if in term 1 you have few subjects which you do not want to conduct exam with other subjects, but you want to do that individually, you can check this option of no exam. So for, let's say if we do that for this subject will not be conducted with these examination, the other subject examination, but at a later stage you will again get an option of add the pending subject, and then you can schedule the same, enter the marks and publish the result. So for now, let us say all of them are conducted for term 1, and we have created the draft of the schedule of the examination for term 1. So I say it is as a draft because the schedule is not yet published, meaning that the students and the parents cannot yet see it when they log in into their system. They do not get any notification about the term 1 schedule. So if that has to be done, we will click on publish exam schedule. So if we click that, it means that the students will be able to see the computer examination, the duration and the timing and the date. So for all the subjects, the students and the parents will be able to check that in their calendar. Also, when you click on publish exam schedule, SMS notification and email notification is sent to the recipients. And that will be done once the settings are done. So SMS and email settings should be enabled in Fedena. If that is done, the reminders are sent. Also, internal messages sent. So here the students, when they log in, they'll be able to see a message like in this case, examination schedule, and they can check the details in the calendar. So here for term 1, I have created summative assessment for each subject. Now let's log in as a student of this batch and check the same. So I've logged in as a student now, and you can see I get a message about exam schedule. So this is the internal message that the student gets. So please view calendar for more details. Calendar is an option that students get under academics. Here they can see the calendar like this. So I can check the examination like this. So it shows me for each day what is the exam that is conducted. I can check the timing also. On the right hand side, it shows me the details. Examination is denoted by a blue label. So this is how the students will be able to check. The same view will be available to the parent of the student. And I've logged in back as an administrator. I will go to exam management and select the batch. Like this, I can see that there is one exam group which is term 1, and for all the 7 subjects the examination is scheduled. Status it says is exam schedule published. Now let's say that for all the 7 subjects the students have written the examination and the teachers have marked them. They have given the scores. Now the teacher should be entering the same in Fedena. So for essay we will go to manage exams here, and the teachers can enter marks for their own subjects for SA. That can be done. Similarly, for FA, the teachers will be able to enter the scores for their own subjects. As an administrator, I was able to enter for all the subjects together. But if I log in as a computer teacher, I will only be able to enter the SA marks of computer and the FA marks of computer. As an administrator, he can enter marks for all the subjects, SA or FA. So here, let me show you as an administrator and then as a teacher. So let me enter marks for computer here. This is the SA marks, the written examination marks. So here we will give some score. We can also give some remarks. If we want to mark the student absent and he was absent, we can check that option. In the case, the report will have no data shown for absent student. So like this, we can save it. Also, when you go inside, you can again see this option of FA score. So this will be available to the computer teacher. Now here we've entered the marks for term 1 for the subject. Now let's log in as English teacher, and I'll show you how the English teacher would be able to enter the marks. So let's check who is the English teacher. We can do that by going to reports, and we can see the option of employee subject association details. So here it shows all the teachers and the subject that they are taking, and in the bracket you can see the batch in which they are taking that subject. For example, this E020 is an employee ID for the subject computer for grade 7. So in the same way, let's see who is the English teacher here. So we can see that this is the English teacher E004, English in grade 7. So let us log in as this teacher so I can show you how the teacher can enter marks. For entering marks, the teacher will have an option of examination, exam management. She will be able to see the classes for which she is the teacher of at least one subject. But as an administrator, I was able to see all the classes here. So I will select grade 7 and I will click on manage exams because I want to enter the marks for my subject. So you can see, unlike administrator, the teacher is getting only English subject, whereas the admin was able to see all the subjects. So she will click on it. Now she can enter the marks of this subject, let's say like this, give some remarks here and save it. And also you will see, since English is a language subject and when we created it, we marked it as an ASL subject. So she can enter the ASL scores as well. So here she can enter based on what was the maximum, it was 20. So accordingly it will be calculated like this. So this is how the teacher can enter marks. She can also enter FA scores. As an administrator, I have already entered. She can get an option to edit it if she wants to. So like here. So this is how the teacher will be able to enter only marks for her own subject. That will be all the marks. It will be SA, FA and ASL if that subject is ASL subject. So I'm logging back as an administrator and I will complete the marks entry for other subjects which are pending. The teachers can also do that. You can also note that for this subject, since it was an elective subject, so I get only a student who was assigned to this subject. So all the students are not coming. For elective subjects, the students that you assign for that subject will only be appearing. So you can enter marks for them. So this is how we have entered the marks now for all the subjects. Now we can publish this exam result. So we've entered the marks, we've entered FA score as well as SA score. Now to publish the exam result, the administrator can do that or the employee can do it who has exam management privilege. Now you have to do this very carefully because once the publish is done, the students and parents get a notification to see the result in their login. So when I click on publish exam result, again SMS is sent, email is sent, as well as internal message will be sent that exam is published and they can check the same in the exam report. So let me log in as a student now. So here S104 was the student of grade 7 and I can check while going to academics. This is where the reports will be available regarding CC. So here we can check that term 1 is the exam that we just created and the student can see that he's got all these subjects. This student opted for this elective, so it shows only this for him and it shows the maximum marks, the marks that he's obtained, the grades and the remarks. This is a normal report that he can see. For each subject, it also shows how much the student is deviating from the class average. You can get this into a PDF report as well. So here is the PDF report. You can also note here that this PDF report is based on the CCE basic settings that we have done, the report settings. That is why it shows the additional details as we've set, also the signature. So this is a normal report that the students see, and the other report will be subject wise. So when we go to academics, again here you will see each subject which the student can click on and check how much marks has he got in that subject for the term. Now also subject wise you have CC transcript report. So this is the one here. The report will be shown, the transcript report, when you have all the terms done. That means term 1 is complete, term 2 is complete, and then you generate the report. Then only you will be able to see CCE transcript report. So currently, since only one term is completed, the student cannot see transcript report. The student can also check the current year report. So that is the attendance report here. It can be overall. So here it shows the total working days and how much the student was present for and hence the percentage. So this is a report that the student will be able to see. Also, like I said, internal message is sent if the result is published. So it shows the same here. Let's log in back as an administrator and schedule the term 2 examination for grade 7 for CCE. We'll go to exam management. We will click on create exam group. It is similar to what we have done for term 1. In this case, we will associate term 2 with the one that we've done settings for in CCE. We will go to manage exams, add the subjects which are going to participate in examination for term 2, give the maximum for essay and minimum for each subject. It can also be edited here. Give the duration for each subject, the timings, so that the students will be able to see the same when they log in into the system. And create this examination. So term 2 is created, but it is a draft. Schedule is not yet published. To publish it, click on this option of publish exam schedule. Now the students will get a notification as SMS, email and internal message, and they'll be able to check the same in the calendar. Now teachers will be able to enter marks once they have rated the students. Now let's enter the marks here for FA score first. So we can select the term for which we want to enter. So here we will click on, let's say, one of the subjects, and it will show us now FA3 and FA4 because this is term 2. So this is coming as per the settings. So I will enter marks for both the students for all the subjects here. This setting can be done by each subject teacher as well instead of administrator doing it. So currently, since I've logged in as an administrator, I have the privilege to enter all the FA scores. And now for the last one. So FA3 score for the student who is assigned to this elective group, and FA4 marks. So this is how we have done the FA score entry as an administrator. Now let's also enter the essay scores. So here we will give some marks, the score as per what the student has scored. FA score entry is already done, so I can skip that now. For English, I will see that normal summative assessment marks also can be entered, as well as the ASL scores. So this is for, this has to be out of the maximum. So like this. So this is the ASL score entry that we are doing. And this is the summative assessment for that subject. So like this, I'll be entering for all the subjects now. Now for the last elective, for which the student has opted, and we are entering only his marks because he is the one who is assigned to this subject. Now we've entered all the marks. We can publish the exam result so that the students can check the same in their profile. So here we can see that the result is published. Let me log in as a student to show you how the report changes for the student now. So we will go to academics. This is where the student can see the reports. You can see term 2 is added with term 1. It shows term 2 information now. And also the graph about the performance of the student. It shows each subject and the marks. These are the essay marks that the student can see. Similarly, he could have seen it for term 1 and subject wise. So now subject wise also shows each term marks and how he has performed in both the terms for this subject. And transcript report currently again is not visible because we have not generated the report. So let me show you what does that mean. Now we will log in back as an admin or someone with exam management privilege, and I will go to exam management. Select the batch, manage exams. We can see the result is published for both of them, but we are yet to do the course scholastic result entry. So this is the one that we've left for the final report to be shown. That is why the transcript report was not showing up. So we will do this course scholastic result entry by clicking here. And these are the 3 things that we've associated with this grade in the settings. So we will click on the criteria and we will enter the score. Now this is as per either it is 5 point or 10 point, again as per the setting that you have done. So currently it is 5 points, so I cannot give more than 5 grade point for the student for this. So let me do these settings, the 3 criteria for each student. We are entering the grade point here. And the 3rd criteria now. So this is how we can do the course scholastic result entry. So once you've entered all the information for the annual, for the academic year of this batch, now we can publish or generate the report. To do that, we will go to report center. So this generate report option that you see here in exam is for GPA, normal and CWA examination grading patterns. So if you want to generate reports, if you want to generate the reports for CCE and ICSE, you can find them in the report center in their particular reports. Like here, I will go to CCE reports and I can see generate option. So this is for CCE. In report center, you will also see other reports here. These are not applicable to CCE. The first 12 reports that you see are not applicable to CCE. The reports that you see inside CCE reports are the ones that are applicable to CCE. So you can ignore those reports if you only have CCE enabled as a grading pattern. If you also have normal, so normal reports, normal grading examination pattern reports can be checked from the report center. These reports, the 12 that you see here, and the CCE can be checked inside the CCE reports. So this is, let's do generate report now. We will select the course, and if you have multiple batches, we can check that. And now it is a scheduled job. So scheduled job in Fedena would mean it is a delayed job. It will take some time for the job to get completed and for the reports to reflect the correct data in the system. So we'll have to wait for a minute to check for the status, that when is it completed. You can click on this option of click here and you can check that the status is in queue currently. And once you refresh the browser, you will notice that after a while, in queue will change to running. And after a while, this row will no longer be here. It means that the job is completed and the reports can then be checked. So let's wait for that time. So let's check. We can see that the job is no longer here. That means it is completed. Now we can check all the other reports that you see related to CCE in this link. Let's check student-wise report. So here I will click on this, select the batch. So these are the batches that are appearing which follow CCE. And I can make it for a particular term. It means I can see this report for a particular term or for both the terms together. So here I have selected all. It means both the terms. So you can check, it shows you all this information. And for this student, since Bengali is an optional subject, and I've not assigned this student to study this subject, that is why it does not show any information about it. It ignores this subject altogether. So here we can check the details. It shows each term, the grades that the student has obtained in FA1, FA2, SA1, FA3, FA4, SA2, and the total of each and the grade point. It shows the CGPA as well. For ASL, it shows separately. The grade for ASL is shown separately. So you can check that from here. Co-scholastic areas related to this batch are also shown. So the grade that the student has got in each is also shown. So result, it shows eligible for improvement of performance, that is based on the CGPA. So this is how the report will look like, and we can also filter it for each term here. It will only show that particular term information like this. If we see all, the student also will be able to see the same in his login. So like in the transcript report which I was showing earlier, when I logged as a student, it was not showing any data. Now since we have generated the report, it will show the same data that you see here for that particular student who has logged in. So here we can check for both the students. We can also get this into a detailed report. So this is as per the settings that you do, detailed report settings. It shows all the information like this. This is the detailed one. The basic report will be shown like this. This is as per the basic CCE settings that you have done. The same are available to the student when he logs in. So this is student-wise report. Then let us see subject-wise. So selecting the batch and for which subject you want to see. Like here, if you can also filter if you want to select a particular student category for which you want to see that. And let's say that you only want to see mail report, you can also check that. So this is how it shows all the information. So this shows the FA, all the FAs and all the SA score for both the students here for this subject. So this is subject-wise report.
Now the other report is consolidated report. So here we can select the batch and the assessment group. So we can check individually for each FA and SA, or we can have only SAs, only FAs. We can have term wise or ASL report. So here let me show you one example of, let's say, all the FAs together. Again, it can be further filtered for student category and gender. So it shows the information like this. Again, for all the students it will show. You can export these reports into PDF or CSV. Then we have the other one, which is CBSE report. So this is as per the CBSE format, the CBSE norms. Let's see the scholastic report. For the batch, here exam group would be based on the term and for a particular subject. So this is the report based on the CBSE format. So here it shows the information. It shows the FA1 maximum, FA2 maximum for each subject. For the subject here which we've selected, in this case computer, and obtained, and here the weightage. So weightage is 10 for both the FAs and 30 for the SA. Again, this can be exported into CSV. So this is the scholastic report. The other one is co-scholastic. Again, we will select, and based on the observation group, area or activity, you can see it. For example, for this particular observation group, I can check like this. So you can also note that these are the observation codes that we have given. That is why they appear here in this report. The third one is ASL report. So for that particular subject which is assigned ASL, we can check the information here. So for both the ASL groups, we can see this report. So this is about the CBSE pattern reports. Now batch-wise student report. So you can create student report for the full batch in form of PDFs. So that you can generate by clicking on new, select the batch, and here it will be a basic report or a detailed report that you can select. For now, we can, let's say we want basic. So you will see that again it will be a scheduled job. It says the status to be in queue. And here it will show you the option to download this zip folder. So it will be a folder which will have all the students of this grade, and it will have their basic CCE student-wise report. So if you want to get a bundle of the reports for the full batch, you can use this option. You can have it for the detailed pattern or for the basic pattern by choosing the option from back. So let's wait for this status to get a success, and then I will show you how the folder will look like. So we can see that the status is success now. On clicking on download file, we'll get the folder, and we can unzip this folder, and we'll be able to see for all the students of this batch. In our case, it is 2. So for the 2 students, we'll be able to see 2 PDF files that will be present in this folder, and we'll be able to open the same and also keep it as a backup for the report of the student. So you can see it shows the, let me open one of the reports for one of the students. It showed 2 PDFs present here, and we can check the details from here. In this report, we can see the details. This is a basic report as per the basic report settings that you have done for the student. So we can check this for each student from this folder. So this is the batch-wise report that you get. Then you have upscale report. So if you have done any upscaling for the students, that report will come here. And then you have previous batch exam report. So this is particular to CCE. So if there is a student who has been promoted from a grade to another grade, and if you want to check that inactive batches information here, because the previous batch would be inactive, so you can select the same, select the batch, and you will be able to see the details about that student. So these are the CCE reports that you see. Now, since we have generated the report for the students, we have an idea about the total course scholastic grades of that student. And we'll also be able to upscale them if we want those settings to be applied to the eligible students. Now to check the same, let's do upscaling. Now upscaling you can do after you have generated the report once. And let's go to exam management. We will select the batch, click on manage exams, you will see that here you get an option of upscale student grades. We'll click on this and we can see the eligible students are 2. And both of them are eligible for upscaling because as per the setting that we have done, they have fulfilled that criteria of getting the co-scholastic grades in that range. So here it shows the students who are eligible for one subject. So both the students are eligible for upscaling in a single subject. So here we'll click on the student and we'll be able to see the details about the student, all the subjects it shows, the grades for the subjects, and if he is eligible or not. So here in front of all the subjects, it shows eligible for upscaling in the grade. But no grade can be upscaled twice. That is one of the conditions. Another one, upscaling cannot be done if the grade obtained in the subject is highest or the lowest possible grade. So these are few conditions that we should note. Also, if we have upscaled, in the report, it will be indicated by double asterisks. So that is another information. Now let's upscale it for one of the subjects here. So I will click on computer and I will upscale it to A1. So like I said, we can upscale one subject once only, not twice. So I cannot move 2 grades up, only 1 grade up. That too only in one subject in this case, because the student is eligible for one subject based on the co-scholastic grades that he has obtained. So now we will save this. So now for this student, we have upscaled for one subject, 1 by 1 grade. Now we do not have to generate the report again. If we generate, it will revert this upscale back. So here we will just directly see the reports by going to report center and CC reports. We will not use this option of generating. It has to be done only once you have done term 1, term 2 and co-scholastic entry, not after upscaling. Now let's see student wise report here. Select the batch and we can check that for this student, it shows the overall to be A1 with double asterisks, denoting that for this subject, the student has been upscaled by 1 grade. So this is how upscaling will work. And here, just note one thing, that after you upscale, you do not have to generate the report again. You can also note that if you go to generate report, here it shows that it has been upscaled for 1. And if you have changed the marks of another student, you can select that student only for which you want to update the marks. So what I am trying to tell here is that, let's say for Jill, we have term 1, term 2 and co-scholastic result entry along with all the FAs and ASL entry done. But there was a change in marks that we have to do. So in that case, we will have to generate the report only for this student. So that is why you get an option here to select student for which you want to generate. Do not generate for FILC student because this is the one who has been upscaled. So it denotes the same here. So this is how upscaling will work once you have seen the student is eligible for upscaling. So this is about CCE examination grading pattern in Fedena. For other grading pattern as well that you see in the general settings, we have separate videos for them, for normal grading pattern, for ICSE, for CWA, GPA. So please have a look at those videos which are present in our support portal.